Hi, Randy Crabtree here. We are on site of the 2024 Bridging the Gap Conference. With me today is somebody that probably most of you know because he's got a YouTube channel with about 250,000 followers. He's educated the profession on many different things. He's got hands in lots of different areas, from rate tool to a conference to education. Enough. With me today is Hector Garcia. Hector, thanks for being here.
Randy, thanks for having me, man. I love coming here. I came last year. I'm so excited to come back. Honor's mine.
All right. So that's a good point right off the bat. You were here last year. Last year, the inaugural, I think I said that right,
Yeah.
inaugural
Yeah.
conference. Felt like it was a big success. It was a lot of fun. So apparently you enjoyed it, and because you came back a second year. Any insights in the conference that you've seen so far this year?
Well, I come with a different set of eyes because I also started my own conference. So I think the both of us were talking last year, and we were kind of sharing some ideas and like some of the challenges and logistic stuff and vendors and promotion, and we became friends kind of through that common connection that we're both putting a conference together. So one of the things I liked last year was the roundtables. Immediately when I compared the traditional conferences where everybody's looking one way and the roundtables where during the breaks people are just talking to each other, I said, well, I got to have that in mind too. So I would say I like that immediately. Not that it was a brand new invention, but you do have to decide to do it because you have a choice to do it one way or the other. And you have to make the decision, is this conference about the attendees or is it about the people that are talking to the attendees? And I think you made the bold choice to say it's about the attendees. And the people talking to the attendees, they're just suggesting ideas, but the idea is that the attendees share these ideas, because at the end of the day, if you go to a conference and you're being talked at and you don't implement anything, it really wasn't that useful in the first place. It was just an excuse to get a tax deductible trip or whatever. So that would be the first thing. And the second thing that I thought that was really interesting, also gutsy, was that you created physical space, right, with a wellness room, but not just a physical space. Part of the conversation is the wellness. And, I've gone through a mini transformation myself of looking at my body differently, and chatting with you, you told me about your story and an example of how you could be on the top of the world and one health issue can bring you down in a second.
Yep.
And sometimes you gotta slow down. You gotta slow down. So I like the fact that it is front and center in the conversation. It's like we're gonna grow and scale at the same time that we slow down. And that's funny because those are the two things that you don't ever hear together. You're either going fast and breaking things, or you're just kind of slowing down and exploiting what you already have and just reaping the benefits and status quo. So it's a nice balance between, okay, what technology is out there, what ideas are out there, what's AI doing, all this stuff, so we can propel the profession forward, but let's do it without broken bodies and broken minds. So I like that quite a bit, and I hope that stays as the central theme of the conference, because it will make this place unique.
Thank you. It is definitely will always be a central theme. It's funny, I was just talking to somebody who's a part of a very large firm, and we were talking about that same, type of thing. Hey, let's push for growth, let's push for growth, let's push for growth, but not let's push for individual growth. That's not part of it, because we got to hit these numbers, and we want to be, we want to move up the list of top firms, which is fine. But you also have to concentrate on the people too, and not just the revenue number. And I think that's what we try to do here, is teach ways, and you said it great, that you can grow while slowing down.
Right.
And so that's awesome. Let's pivot a little bit. Let's talk about, you've got your fingers in a lot of different things. Why don't you tell me what's the one thing you want to talk about now that you're doing?
Sure. Well, I could be here for hours and go into teaching mode and tell you about the greatest and latest tools out there. But I'm very excited about AI, first of all. I would say January of 2023, shortly after Chat GPT came out, that was a piece of technology that I said, okay, I want to own this space. Like accountants playing with the AI, someone needs to own this space. Not that I own it, but
Right.
but there's an archive of who created the first video showing how to take a P&L, paste it into Chat GPT, and get a P&L analysis. It's there. It's history.
Really?
It's part of history.
Nice.
Okay. So I said I'm going to experiment the heck out of Chat GPT and see how much I could use this functionally for my firm. Now, a year and a half later, I could tell you there really isn't that many golden bullets that Chat GPT can be used to replace an entire employee or to cut people's productivity in half or double the productivity, cut the time that it takes to do it in half. It's still very much a toy. It's very much a novelty, but it has changed my relationship with ideation. I look at the potentials, the potential, even my own potential capability, or the potential to turn an idea into something great and innovative. I look at it much different because not only I have my peers that I can say, what do you think about this idea? What do you think about this idea? Now I have a compendium of human knowledge, like a sort of an average of human knowledge that I can run these ideas through and test out, okay, what does this look like if you process it through this standard human knowledge machine, which is Chat GPT and all these AI tools. And then the output sometimes confirms my initial hunch. Sometimes it surprises me. Sometimes it's kind of a combination of the two, but it just changed my relationship with ideation. So interestingly enough, this is the same year that I started a new app called Right Tool. Mm-hmm. It's a Chrome extension that works in conjunction with QuickBooks Online, and it changes the navigation experience, so you can go to things much quicker than you could by pressing the standard QuickBooks button. But I have to rely on my partners who are the programmers. I can come up with ideas. Mm-hmm. I'm like, can we do this? And it's not until they come back and tell me maybe, or let me try it, or this. So I started asking them, what's the minimum amount of code that I need to know in order for me to test my ideas with ChatGPT for Right Tool? So Mark sat down with me, gracious enough, spent like 3 hours and told me, well, I know you don't know code, but this is what we use, and this is how you use the console. I just went through all the basics of like how to test your code. And I'm like, okay, I got it from here. So I spent many hours thinking about like, what do I want QuickBooks to do better? Okay, I want this button to behave like this. I want this screen to behave like that. And I would copy and paste the raw HTML code from the page into ChatGPT and tell it, I'm trying to automate this process. I'm trying to automate that process. What would a piece of code look like that would do that? And then ChatGPT would give me a piece of code and I would test it. And as soon as I get it working, I would send it to my partner Mark and say, hey, I just got a feature that we can add to Right Tool. And he'll go, okay, let me see if I can adapt it. And a couple weeks later, it's a feature in my app. Right. So all of a sudden, an app that I was involved with because of my followership and because of my ideas and my relationship with QuickBooks education in general, I was involved with the app without being a programmer or a coder. Now I feel like I'm part of the process. So that's why I'm so excited about artificial intelligence, because it was a very backwards way to getting utility out of it. Like most people weren't thinking about, I'm going to use ChatGPT to test ideas, to write code so my programmer can make our app better. Like something it wouldn't even have occurred to me a year and a half ago. So that's why I'm saying my relationship with ideation has significantly changed. The paradigm has changed because of artificial intelligence. And we have just scratched the surface. So the other day I told ChatGPT, I told it I was tired of the old P&L and balance sheet. And I told them like how I, as a business owner, want to see my financial statements. And then he started giving me ideas on how I can combine the two into a single financial statement. I'm like, I think I'm going to invent the new financial statement. This might be my legacy. It's the P&L, the balance sheet, the cash flow, and the Hector report.
The Hector report, I love it.
So, but that's the thing, like again, a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, it wouldn't have occurred to me to have a place to bounce ideas, like the weird things that come through my head. So very excited about ChatGPT, of course, excited about my app. So check out Right Tool. If you use QuickBooks Online,
Oh, I've heard rave reviews about it. I
it
mean,
could change
people.
your perspective.
Yeah, and didn't you just win the Scott's contest? Didn't you? For
Yeah,
yeah.
Scott Scarano, who speaks at this
Yeah.
raps at this
The
conference,
reps, yep.
had this thing called the App Bracket Challenge, and a bunch of developers and educators and podcasts, including yours, and conferences too.
Yep.
They were putting it into a bracket, and people will vote based on faces. So we won every single face, and some by 2 or 3 votes, until we got to the final against Jason Stats. And Jason's like, I don't even want to win. Let Right Tool win, because Jason's actually a fan of Right Tool as well, and he did a really cool video for us, a promotional video. So we won the bracket challenge.
Yeah, that was awesome.
With 300 something votes, but we won nonetheless. Like, so you don't need a million votes to be.
But that just goes to show that people are really. I mean, believe me, I see apps and all this stuff all the time, and I know there's ones people love.
Yeah.
People love yours. People rave about it.
Thank you.
Kelly Park's just like the greatest thing that's ever happened for her. So it's amazing, and I love what you're doing. We're not going to have a lot more time, but what I do want to do is talk about, because you alluded to your conference, and I want to talk about that, because why don't you give us a synopsis of what your conference is all about, and maybe even how you even came up with the idea.
Yeah, so I didn't know this, but I recently found what my purpose in life is.
Yeah.
And my purpose, we're talking about Hector Garcia, just my individual purpose in life is to rebrand the profession.
Nice.
That's it.
Yeah.
So if you were to ask me, what do you mean rebrand the profession? I would say my goal is to make the accounting profession to be sought after as the most creative, innovative, and forward-looking of all professions. It's like, I want people in a dinner party or whatever to meet an accountant and go, oh, you're in that industry that's super innovative, forward-looking, and creative, which is the opposite of what people think of us now. So obviously it's a really big goal. And there's multiple ways to go about it. I won't be able to do this by myself, but I could inspire a whole bunch of people. I've been building this YouTube channel for over a decade and tons of followers. So I need to do something good for this. And I've noticed that software companies and artificial intelligence and outsourcing and commoditization of our industry, all these things are putting real downward pressure in the pricing of our services, and are changing the expectations of the market about what a human accountant should be doing. And I think it behooves all of us to take on this idea that we need to rebrand the profession.
Oh, I love it.
And so I had this conference. It was called the Alt Accountant Conference last year, because to me, alt accountant, the alternate of what accountants are. And I had one of the keynote speakers. His name is Chris Doe. He's a YouTuber. He's got like 3 million subscribers. He's a marketing guy. And he told me, Hector, I don't like the name alt accountant. It's just like a weird name. I'm like, why not? And I explained, I'm selling him the idea. He's like, because it doesn't say what you're trying to say. What are you trying to do? And I tell him, I'm trying to rebrand the profession, but how are you doing this? I'm like, I guess, I don't know. I'm trying to convince people that it's different. Yeah, but is it different? Are you changing accounting? No. So how are you changing it? I'm like, I guess we're trying to reframe what it means. And he said, that's it. That's it. That should be your conference name. It should be called Reframe. And from that moment on, we changed it from Alt Accountant to Reframe, and that's what it is. It's Reframe. So last year we had Ron Baker on, Chris Doe, and we talked about creative business models for accountants, and we just did ideation around what if our practice was more like a Starbucks? What if our practice was more like Disney? What if our practice was more like a Rolex? And then we did exercises of like, what does Nike have that makes Nike, Starbucks, Rolex? And then we started creating bridges between that and accounting. And we actually pulled up Chat GPT and said, and confirmed some of the ideas against what people were saying. So it was like a very meta conference.
Yeah.
It was about everything that was going on at the same time. So we wanted to have it again next year, but wanted to change the theme. And then we decided that we were going to call it Influential Conversations for Accountants. And the next year is going to be called Effective Pricing for Accountants. So it's kind of a multi-part story.
Yes.
First, we have to rethink of our business models in a creative way. Secondly, we have to now communicate with people that is different. This is part of the reframing process. First, you change the business model, then you communicate it in ways that people understand it. And then once you create those two connections, well, now we need to have a relationship with the pricing process, because then people really, they purchase and understand what they're buying through the price. So hopefully we'll have more than just 3 years, but that's what it is. Influential conversations for accountants. We have Phil Jones, the author of a book called Exactly What to Say, as a keynote speaker. And one of his mantras is change your words, change your world. And something else that he says is slow down the process to speed up the result. And when I heard him say that, slow down the process to speed up the result, I really connected with that, because it's what you're trying to do here too, right? At Bridging the Gap, we're trying to slow down the process, like slow down so our bodies are in a balanced level, so then we can be in a better position to create the transformations to our clients, our world, our families that we want. So excited having Phil Jones at the conference as well.
Nice. Well, you are definitely, you talked about leaving a legacy and make a change. You already have a legacy. You've done so much for the profession, and to see that you are doing more and trying to make change and effective change is awesome. So Hector, good luck with it. Conference is going to be a huge hit, I know again.
Thank you.
Every time I talk to you, I just have a great time, so I appreciate you being here.
I love being here too, man. Thanks for inviting me.
Yep.